into that here in a second. We like to have, again, to reinforce that you're always welcome to be part of the show. If you have your own how question you want to talk about, you feel free to kind of reach out. You can get us live in the studio every Wednesday from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern. The number to get us is 440-946-9468. Again, 440-946-9468. You can tweet at us at MaximumVP, at JackMMVP, or at Adam Sonnhalter. Email us at radio@MaximumVP.com, or hit us up on the web, MaximumVP.com/how. And there's a little form there to put your how question up, where you can respond to things that we've been talking about. But like I said, tonight's show we've been talking about is we're going back to a podcast listener, a very avid and loyal podcast listener of ours who reached out last week with a question. And thank you again, Jason, in New York, for reaching out to talk about this. I think it's a common challenge people have had, which is, how do I know it's time to leave my day job? Can I quit the day job and go out on my own? And so I spent the first segment kind of giving a little background about his situation. We want to kind of bring it up a little higher level here in terms of, each person has their own situation, Jack, and the question is, how do you kind of get out of your own way and stop finding reasons not to go out on your own and find reasons to go out on your own? And there's a couple things that we talk to people about all the time. And I think one of the keys that creates a lot of stress for folks is having some financial staying power. So what does that mean? People have bills to pay. And come back to the whole living under the bridge in a cardboard box scenario. I think many people are afraid, if I can't pay my bills, I'm going to get kicked out on the street and be homeless. So if I have no money in the bank, and I'm living a certain lifestyle that I've got to have certain, X bucks per month coming in because I'm spending it all, well, it becomes very, very difficult. And so as laying out Jason's case, there he is. He's living a relatively frugal lifestyle. He's got no debt. His equipment's paid for his company. So he's in a pretty good position to be able to kind of have a very minimalistic lifestyle to start with, to not have additional pressures on him, right? He's just about to get married, has no kids. Again, so from what I can see on the outside, here I am, very objective. I'm thinking he's in a perfect position to go get this thing going.
Well, he's certainly in a good position. Not having debt and having money in the bank is an excellent way to start any new venture. But quitting your day job. Okay, quitting your day job to do what? So if you're starting a company, you have no history. It's much more difficult to quit that day job and jump into a startup versus something already in existence. But the fact is, many people do it every day, and they can do it if they have, as Adam said, some staying power, some financial staying power. And they have to have a plan. Have to have some kind of plan, maybe, okay? And I say that from my own experience. The very first company I bought, I didn't have much of a plan for that company. I certainly didn't have a plan to find the company that I ended up buying, the very first one. And so this is a very bumpy process, if you will. The outsiders are going to look at it and feel it's all slick and smooth, and boy, this guy really knows what he's doing, or she knows what she's doing. But you often don't. You have to jump into it. You have to play around with your idea, and however you put together a plan, whatever the quality of it is, it doesn't have to be some academia pursuit here. It just has to be something that says, okay, I'm ready. And you jump off the cliff. You do it. You just do it. People are looking for all these slick answers, and when Adam and I are guilty sometimes of giving people these slick answers, because it's easier than trying to explain, I don't know why the hell I took this company on, but I think I can make a go of it, and I know for sure I'm not going to be sleeping under a bridge. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I move on to the next opportunity. Or the worst case, curse the word, I'd have to get a job. Those are all safe landings. So, how do you decide to leave your day job? When is it the right time? A lot of times, you got to be pushed off that cliff. And you find when you land, geez, that wasn't quite that bad at all. I'm doing okay. But boy, how do you explain that stuff? I don't know. I've never found a way to do it, and I don't think there is a way.
You keep mentioning Cliff, and I'm wondering if his back gets sore, everybody kind of standing on his back, and everybody gets pushed off his back, right? Talking about Cliff, right? He must be a pretty big guy, that Cliff guy, you know?
Wait, I just got back from the Grand Canyon.
That's the kind of cliff you're talking
I
about,
saw lots
right?
of cliffs.
All right. You're in a cliff kind of mode. Well, so yeah, you're painting a couple scenario. The scenario, Jack, in terms of somebody who's kind of in that day job right now, and really doesn't have any idea, you know, versus a guy like Jason. Yeah, Jason kind of done what I call moonlighting, stuff on the side, you know, in the evenings, on the weekends, doing, you know, kind of getting the business started a little bit, kind of jump starting it here a little bit, getting some customers in, which okay, all of a sudden it's kind of started. It's not to the point where it can sustain them yet, but it's certainly bringing in revenue from that standpoint. So if you don't have that, that's one way. You know, hey, try something on the side a little bit. To me, that's always a good test for somebody. Are you a job guy? One of the things that I touch on, he mentioned he kind of comes from a job background in terms of how his parents were. You know, it was more that job mentality, and he just quoted that back to me because he knows that's something that we talk about a lot in here, Jack, in terms of that kind of that entrepreneur business owner mindset versus job mindset. So if you have a job mindset, you know, the idea of putting in time on the weekends and, you know, after hours, staying up late, you know, losing some sleep to kind of work on something that you aren't getting paid for, to invest that time and energy. If you aren't willing to do that, well, maybe you should stay with the day job.
That's
All
correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have that, again, and you know, for Jason, you know, it's very common where he has a skill, and we talk a lot about E-Myth on here. You know, the E-Myth Revisited, Sarah and baking her pies, and part of his email to me, he quoted that too. So it's kind of like that baker you talk about. He's always baking pies, right? So she was baking pies somewhere else and started her own pie baking place, right? Many folks will have that. Hey, I'm putting my skill to work. You know, I have a certain product or service that I deliver for somebody as part of my job, and I can do that on my own now, right? So the idea of kind of doing it on the side, that's one way to kind of test it out and see. How are you in terms of finding that business and bringing people in? How are you at asking for money, Jack, and collecting the money? Or quoting a job, or whatever it might be, to kind of talk about money? Where when you're working in a job, you often don't need to do those kind of things, right? Because it's just somebody else takes care of that stuff. I just kind of go and perform the work. I don't have to negotiate it or actually get people to sign their on the dotted line, or actually pay me some money, or actually go collect from somebody who maybe isn't so happy with my work.
But those kind of things don't come through usually until you have your own company, or until you're operating your own company. What we could go out to restaurants, which we've done, with friends.
Too many sometimes, right?
What's that?
Too many sometimes.
Yeah, boy, tell me about it. Well, we'll go out and we'll talk. The conversation will drift on small businesses because that's what we do. And most people would like to start a small business. They all have an idea. I'll call that the global view. I got this idea to start a widget company, and so I go out and I start it. And boy, I'm gonna do whatever. Wouldn't it be great? Blah blah blah. They embrace the dream, but it ultimately gets narrower and narrower as you get closer to taking that step. To basically leave. You're going to leave somewhere along the line. If you're going to start this company, you have to leave your old surroundings. And we all know how difficult change is. And there's not too many things more difficult than that change of taking on your own company. When are you ready to do it? And it comes down to that Sunday night before the first day of your new job. And if you do have a company that you bought, and that could be called starting a company, or if you're starting it totally from scratch and you have new employees, you wake up that Monday morning and the whole reality, that big global scope, has squeezed down to you take the step now into your new world. And that is frickin' daunting. Like, what did I do? But that quickly leaves your mind because you got to get going on your business. But the whole idea is that's that first day. And that first day, it's like a buyer's remorse or seller's remorse when you're doing deals, this type of thing. People get spooked and they'll back out the last minute. They won't start. Unless they've given notice in their job and there's nowhere to turn other than to go forward. You almost have to do that. I'll say it again, jumping off the cliff. It's not an easy thing to do, and we haven't figured out how to really express that because it's all customized. It's all different. Everyone has their own, taking that first step into the new changing world. And it's exciting, it's exhilarating, yet it's daunting. It just a mix. Holy cripe. It's what did I just do to, hey, I got to get going on this. So
You're making a great point, Jack, and I think what people should hear from what you just said is that those feelings of angst, anxiety, excitement that they're feeling in their gut, that stepping off the cliff into that great black abyss, it's very normal. It doesn't mean that what you're considering or what you're looking to do is not something you should do. It's very normal for somebody in the position you're in to be thinking that way. And so don't let that be a reason to not do what we're talking about.
and if you can see that global world squeeze like a balloon emptying, and the closer you get to that Monday morning, I'm in a new world, the more pressure it comes to stop thinking like this and turn around and you'll talk to people who won't give you the encouragement because they've never been there themselves.
That's right. They'll spook you out. So we'll come back and keep talking about this a little bit, Jack, on the other side of the break here. So stay tuned for hearing more about how do I know it's time to leave my day job. I'm Adam Sonnhalter.
Hello, Adam. I'm Jack Mencini, and we're with Maximum